I believe the greatest investment opportunity in history is knocking on your door. You can open it or not. The choice is yours. That's how Mike Maloney starts his book on how to invest in gold and silver. If you ask me, that's a pretty bold statement. The greatest investment opportunity in history? Greater than an investment in Henry Ford or Ray Kroc or Steve Jobs? How does Mike know this is the biggest opportunity ever? Does he have a crystal ball we don't know about? I'm guessing he'd respond with, I do have a crystal ball. It's called history and data. Essentially, Mike believes that throughout history, a pattern has continually repeated itself. And while the names, faces, and places change, the pattern remains the same. It's a simple pattern, but it's often missed and dismissed by most people. The pattern starts with governments having quality money, or stuff that's actually worth something, like gold and silver, and ends with the government destroying the economy by printing endless amounts of money, or as Mike would insist, printing currency. Let me tell you a story. In the beginning, the government started with quality gold and silver money. This quality money helped enable the country's economy to grow big and strong. As the country grew stronger, the government took on more and more responsibilities and so had to spend more money every year. They threw circuses, they gave out free bread, they built up their military, and used it. Eventually, all of this spending created a crisis. Holy shit, they realized, we can't continue to spend all this money or we'll go broke. We need to stop. We can't stop. The people will riot if we don't give them their free shit. Well, then we need to tax the people more. We can't. The people will riot if we take any more of their money. Well, we need to do something. In popped the devil in the details. Well, there is a way you can keep this charade up a little while longer. Simply take the gold and silver you have, get some worthless metal that looks similar, melt them down, mix them up, and boom. You've got all the money you need. F***ing brilliant! And so the quality gold and silver coins, which helped grow the economy, were debased with metals of little value. This expanded currency supply allowed the government to keep spending a little while longer. And for a while, things went fine. In fact, they went great. The economy started to really move. But beneath the surface, a pressure started to build. Most of the population could feel this pressure, but they didn't know how to describe it or what to do about it. But they saw its results. The old quality coinage, the stuff that was pure gold and silver, began to silently disappear from pocket change. The prices of common goods like bread and milk began to rise. This pressure became greater and greater until an animal-like instinct gripped the population. It was an instinct that screamed something wasn't right. People began to realize that their money was becoming increasingly worthless, and they were going to do something about it. Practically overnight, a giant game of hot potato starts with the debased money. People try to spend it as fast as possible to buy something real that can't be printed, like the old quality gold and silver coins, or even stuff like food and milk. The end result is always the same. With people scrambling to get rid of their debased money and buy pure gold and silver, simple supply and demand forced their value to skyrocket suddenly. This rise accounted for all the debased money that was created in secret. Or as Mike would insist, all the currency that was created in secret. In other words, because all this currency was created in secret, pure gold and silver, often overlooked, slowly became undervalued. When the masses realized what happened, they scrambled for real assets and quickly bid up the price of the undervalued gold and silver to fair value again. Anyone who recognized this pattern and took action before the day of reckoning became very wealthy in a relatively short period of time, while everyone who held on to their debased money, or currency, lost nearly all of their purchasing power. Like I said, this pattern is simple, but it's happened many times throughout history. Mike actually spends the first fourth of his book examining and explaining economic cycles, the history of currency, stock bubbles, mass psychology including manias and panics, and the pattern we just talked about and how it just repeats over and over and over again from ancient Athens to the 20th century. All of his examination points out what is obvious but is often forgotten. That during periods of great fear, people run towards what they feel is safe. And for many people, safety is gold and silver. So besides this pattern that continually repeats itself, why does Mike believe that right now is the, quote, greatest opportunity in the history of mankind, end quote? The short answer is that Mike believes the economic day of reckoning is almost here. He examines today's data and points out the biggest economic hurricane in history is about to make landfall. Here are just a few of his arguments. Over the last few decades, so much currency has been printed by every country, all over the world, the numbers are mind-boggling. Nearly all governments all over the world are drowning in debt. We have hundreds of trillions of dollars of unfunded government programs like Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid that older generations are counting on that we have no good plan to pay for. We have a monster on our hands in the form of a derivative market that is largely hidden from view and is massive beyond comprehension. And at some point, all of these chickens and more are coming home to roost. And those are just the big picture economic reasons. In addition, Mike goes on to specify why he believes gold and silver are extremely undervalued, which in essence all boils down to very little supply and surging demand. All of this data and historical example is why Mike believes the greatest investment opportunity in history is knocking on your door. And anyone who gets educated and takes action will have massive amounts of wealth transferred towards them instead of away from them.